Maria scrubs floors in silence, while entitled executives step over her mop bucket without a glance. When arrogant CEO Derek humiliates her publicly, calling her just a cleaner, he has no idea. The marble lobby of Apex Tower gleamed under fluorescent lights at 6:47 a.m. Maria Reyes knelt beside a coffee stain near the elevator bank, her worn yellow gloves dark with soapy water. The scent of industrial cleaner mixed with expensive cologne as early executives rushed past. Derek Castellano's voice cut through the morning quiet like a blade. "Move the bucket now." Maria looked up. Derek stood above her in a charcoal suit, phone pressed to his ear. Impatience carved into every line of his face. His polished shoes stopped inches from her mop. "I'm almost finished, sir," Maria said quietly. Derek's foot connected with the bucket. Water surged across the floor, soaking Maria's royal blue uniform from knee to ankle. The lobby fell silent. 3 employees froze mid-stride. "I said move." Derek stepped over the spreading puddle without breaking his phone conversation. "Christ, you're just a cleaner. Learn to work around people." Maria stayed kneeling in the water. Her hands still gripping the mop handle didn't shake. She met Derek's eyes as he glanced back, just for a second, and something passed between them. Not fear, not anger, recognition. Derek turned away, his leather shoes squeaking on wet marble. The elevator doors closed on his reflection. Maria stood slowly, water dripping from her uniform, and began squeezing out the mop. A young receptionist approached with paper towels. "Are you okay?" Maria's voice came out steady. "I'm fine," but her jaw tightened as she watched the elevator numbers climb. 14th floor, Derek's office. The executive suite where decisions were made by men who never looked down. She wrung out the mop one more time. The water in the bucket had turned murky gray, reflecting the fluorescent lights above like tiny distant stars. Maria had cleaned Apex Tower for 12 years. She knew every corner, every stain, every secret the building held. She started her shift at 5 a.m. when the city still slept, and finished at 2 p.m. when the lunch rush began. Invisible hours for invisible work. Her apartment was a rent-controlled studio in Queens. 4th floor, no elevator, walls thin as paper. Her daughter Elena's medical textbooks covered the kitchen table. Scholarship student, pre-med. Maria's pride and entire reason for breathing. 3 outfits hung in Maria's closet. 1 for work, 1 for church. 1 for parent-teacher conferences she rarely attended anymore since Elena graduated high school. No car, no vacations. Her flip phone she refused to replace even when Elena begged. But Maria's bank statements told a different story. One Elena had never seen. Every Friday, Maria deposited her paycheck, minus rent, groceries, and Elena's textbook fund, into a brokerage account. She'd been doing it for 12 years. Small amounts, 5 shares here, 10 shares there. She studied proxy statements in the break room during lunch, tracked dividend payments on scratch paper, learned the language of corporate power in silence. The other cleaners thought she was strange. "Why are you always reading those business papers?" Rosa once asked. Maria had smiled. "Keeps my mind sharp." Nobody asked twice. At home, Maria cooked rice and beans while Elena studied across the table. Her daughter talked about anatomy classes and residency dreams. Maria listened, nodding at the right moments, her mind calculating compound interest and stock splits. "Mum, you okay?" Elena asked one evening. "You seem distracted." Maria touched her daughter's hand. "Just tired, Mija." "Long day," Elena squeezed back. "You work too hard." "Once I'm a doctor." "You're retiring." "So I mean it." Maria's throat tightened. "We'll see." But retirement wasn't the plan. Never had been. Her father's voice echoed from childhood. "Poverty makes you invisible, but invisible people see everything. Watch, wait, then act." She'd been watching for 12 years. The waiting was almost over. The annual Apex Corporation Gala filled the tower's top-floor ballroom with crystal chandeliers and champagne laughter. Maria worked the event in her cleaning uniform, emptying trash bins and wiping down surfaces between courses. The ivory tablecloths glowed under golden light. Derek stood at the podium in a tailored black tuxedo, microphone in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, Apex Corporation just closed its most profitable quarter in company history." Applause erupted. Glasses clinked. Maria emptied a champagne flute into her grey bin, the liquid fizzing as it hit crumpled napkins. "We've proven that vision and leadership drive success," Derek continued, his voice booming. "Some people work for companies. Others build them. Know the difference." More laughter. Maria moved along the wall, her sneakers silent on plush carpet. A waiter passed with a tray of empty glasses. She took them without making eye contact. Derek's gaze swept the room and landed on Maria for half a second. His smile widened. Hell, our stock's doing so well. Even the cleaning staff could probably afford shares now. The ballroom erupted. Board members slapped tables. Executives doubled over. One woman in a lavender gown actually wiped tears from her eyes. Maria's hands froze on the trash bin liner. Her pulse hammered in her ears, drowning out the laughter. The bag slipped slightly. She caught it before bottles crashed to the floor. A young waiter leaned close as he passed. "Don't let him see you cry," he whispered. Maria's eyes stayed dry. She tied off the trash bag with steady hands and lifted it from the bin. Her reflection caught in the ballroom's mirrored wall, a woman in a stained uniform surrounded by people who'd never see her face. Derek raised his glass. "To Apex, to profit, to knowing your place in the world." The crowd echoed the toast. Maria turned and walked toward the service elevator, the bag of trash slung over her shoulder. Behind her the laughter continued, wave after wave crashing against marble walls. The elevator doors closed. Maria set down the trash and pressed her forehead against the cold metal wall. Her breathing came shallow and quick. Her father's voice surfaced through the rage. "They laugh because they don't know. Let them." She straightened, pulled out her phone, opened her brokerage app. The numbers glowed in the dim elevator light. 3% ownership. Maria's reflection in the polished doors showed something new. Not shame, not even anger, just cold, patient certainty. The elevator descended. She picked up the trash bag and stepped into the basement corridor. Behind her, the laughter from 14 floors above faded to nothing. The break room at 11 p.m. was empty, except for the hum of fluorescent lights. Maria sat at the plastic table, still in her damp uniform from the earlier shift. A cup of instant coffee cooled between her hands. She didn't drink it. Her reflection stared back from the dark window. Outside, the city sparkled with lights from buildings just like this one, monuments to people who mattered, people who were seen. Even the cleaning staff could probably afford shares now. The words replayed on loop. Derek's voice, the laughter, the way everyone raised their glasses while she carried away their trash. 12 years of early mornings and bent knees, and this was her value, a punchline. Maria's hands tightened around the cup. The coffee trembled but didn't spill. She'd learned control a long time ago. How to swallow rage, how to keep moving when your body screamed to stop, how to be invisible on purpose, but beneath the shame something colder formed. Calculation. Her father used to say the best revenge was none at all, just success they never saw coming. He'd cleaned office buildings for 30 years and died with a portfolio worth $180,000. Nobody at his funeral knew, not even his co-workers. He'd taught Maria the game. Rich people think poor people are stupid. Use that. Let them think you're invisible. Meanwhile, buy what they're selling. One share at a time. Patience is a weapon they'll never understand. Maria opened her phone. The brokerage app loaded. Her holdings appeared in neat columns. 12 years of disciplined purchases. Proxy votes accumulated through 3 shell companies. Stock splits reinvested. Dividends compounded. Apex Corporation 52.3% ownership. She zoomed in on the number, stared until it burned into her vision. All those early mornings while Elena slept. All those evenings studying proxy statements instead of watching TV. Every share purchased with money that could have bought new shoes or a better apartment, worth it. Maria stood and dumped the cold coffee in the sink. Her reflection in the break room mirror wore exhaustion like a second skin. But her eyes were clear, focused, her father's voice again. Power isn't loud, Maria, it's patient. She'd been patient for 12 years. The waiting was over. Maria pulled out a business card from her wallet, worn at the edges from being carried so long. Thomas Chen, corporate attorney. She'd consulted him 6 months ago, when her holdings crossed 50%. He'd explained her options, her rights, her power. She typed a text message, ready to proceed. Call emergency board meeting. Her thumb hovered over send. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm. Maria hit send. The message disappeared into the network. No turning back now. She gathered her cleaning supplies and headed for the door. Tomorrow she'd mop these floors again. Wear the same uniform. Stay invisible. But not for long. 20 years ago, Maria's father took her to his night shift at a downtown office building. She was 16, struggling with math homework at the kitchen table. He'd appeared in his grey uniform, thermos in hand. "Come with me tonight," he said. "I want to show you something." They rode the bus in silence. The building glittered like a jewelry box. Her father led her through service corridors to an executive floor where glass offices overlooked the city. He began cleaning a conference room while Maria watched. "See those papers?" He gestured to documents left on the table. Shareholder reports, proxy statements. They leave them everywhere. Like trash. He picked one up. "But this isn't trash. This is a map," Maria frowned. "A map to what?" "To power." Her father wiped down the table. "These people think we're furniture. They talk like we're not here. Leave documents out because we can't possibly understand them." He smiled. "That's their mistake." He taught her that night. How to read financial statements, what a stock split meant, how compound interest worked. He showed her his own portfolio, built over 15 years of cleaning offices. 30 shares here, 50 there, small amounts that multiplied in silence. The system isn't fair, Maria, but it has rules. Learn the rules. Play the game they think you can't play. That's how you win. Her father died 6 years later. Heart attack during a shift. The company sent flowers and replaced him within a week. At his funeral, Maria inherited his brokerage account and his philosophy. Be invisible, be patient, be strategic. She'd been working at Apex Tower for 6 years when Elena was born. Single mother, no degree. No options except the work her hands could do. But she remembered her father's lessons. Started buying Apex stock with her first paycheck. 5 shares. $200. A week's worth of groceries sacrificed. Elena grew up watching her mother leave before dawn and return after school. "Why do you work so much?" she asked once. Maria kissed her daughter's forehead. "So you don't have to." Elena never knew about the portfolio, the proxy votes, the shell companies Maria established with Thomas Chen's help. Legal structures that let her accumulate shares without triggering disclosure requirements. All carefully constructed, all invisible. The stakes were never just money. They were proof. Proof her father was right. Proof invisible people could win. Proof that patience and discipline mattered more than privilege. And now proof that Derek Castellano's laughter would cost him everything. Maria checked her phone in the break room. Thomas Chen had replied, "Board meeting scheduled. 2 weeks. You'll need to disclose your holdings 48 hours prior." "Are you certain?" Maria typed back, "I'm certain." She thought of her father's worn hands. Elena's scholarship certificate on the refrigerator. 12 years of kneeling on marble floors. Derek's voice, just a cleaner. Her thumb hovered over send. The fluorescent lights flickered. Somewhere above, executives made decisions in glass offices, never looking down. Maria hit send. The die was cast. Maria's apartment at 2 a.m. was silent except for the distant hum of traffic. She sat at the kitchen table surrounded by manila folders. 12 years of documentation, stock purchase confirmations, proxy voting records, legal filings for her 3 shell companies. The laptop screen glowed in the darkness. She pulled up Apex Corporation's shareholder registry. Her holdings appeared under different names: Reyes Investment Holdings, LLC, EMSAR Capital Partners, Silent Majority Fund. All legitimate. All hers. Total ownership 52.3%. Her hands trembled slightly as she clicked through the data. This was real. She wasn't imagining it. She'd done exactly what her father taught her, played the long game while everyone else chased quarterly results. Thomas Chen's email sat in her inbox. Disclosure deadline is Monday 9 a.m. Once you file, it becomes public record. Castellano will know. The board will know. Everyone will know. Last chance to reconsider. Maria's cursor hovered over the reply button. Outside her window, Queens stretched toward Manhattan's glittering skyline. Somewhere in one of those towers, Derek slept in a penthouse that cost more than Maria would earn in a lifetime. Her phone buzzed. Helena, texting from her dorm, can't sleep. Organic chem is killing me. Miss you, Mom. Maria smiled and typed back, You've got this, Mija. Remember, you're smarter than you think. Te amo. She looked at the folders again. Everything she'd sacrificed fit inside 3 inches of paper. Every early morning. Every missed parent-teacher conference. Every time she'd said no to Elena's requests for new clothes or school trips. All for this moment. Her father's voice surfaced. The truth is a weapon, but only if you're brave enough to use it. Maria opened her brokerage app one more time, verified the numbers, 52.3%, majority shareholder, controlling interest, the power to call emergency meetings, to vote out board members, to remove CEOs. Her heartbeat steadied. This wasn't revenge. Revenge was loud and temporary. This was correction. This was justice delivered in the language of corporate bylaws and proxy votes. She clicked reply on Thomas's email, file the disclosure Monday morning. Schedule the board meeting for Wednesday. I'll be there. Her finger hovered over send. The apartment's silence pressed in from all sides. This was the edge. Once she crossed it, there was no invisibility left. Everyone would see her. Judge her. Question her. Good. Maria hit send. The email disappeared into the network. She closed the laptop and gathered the folders into her worn briefcase. Her reflection in the dark window showed a woman in a faded nightgown, gray streaking her hair. Exhaustion carved into her face, but her eyes were clear, focused, alive. She thought of Derek kicking her bucket. The champagne laughter. Even the cleaning staff could probably afford shares now. The way he'd looked through her like glass. Maria's smile was small and cold. Not just a cleaner, she whispered to her reflection. Not anymore. She turned off the kitchen light and headed to bed. In 2 days, the disclosure would go public. In 4 days, she'd walk into that boardroom, and Derek Castellano's world would end. Monday morning, 8:47 a.m. Maria pushed her cleaning cart past Derek's assistant's desk. The young woman in a blush-pink blouse barely glanced up. "Excuse me," Maria said quietly. "I need to see Mr. Castellano." The assistant frowned. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but it's important." The assistant's expression shifted to barely concealed annoyance. "Mr. Castellano doesn't take meetings with—" "He's very busy. If there's a maintenance issue, submit a work order through facilities." Maria set down her spray bottle. "Please tell him Maria Reyes needs 5 minutes. Look, I can't just tell him." Maria's voice didn't rise, but something in her tone made the assistant pause. The young woman sighed and picked up her phone, murmured something Maria couldn't hear, listened, hung up. "He says you have 3 minutes. Don't waste his time." Maria nodded and walked past the desk. Derek's office stretched before her, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, mahogany furniture, Abstract art worth more than her annual salary. Derek sat behind his desk, not looking up from his computer screen. What is it? He didn't invite her to sit. Maria placed a manila folder on his desk. I wanted to discuss the company. I think we need to talk about some changes. Derek finally looked up. His expression was a mixture of confusion and amusement. Changes? He glanced at her uniform. Your maintenance staff. What changes could you possibly... I'm a shareholder, Maria said calmly. Derek's laugh was short and sharp. Oh, you bought 10 shares after my gala joke. That's adorable. Look, the cleaning staff does important work, but corporate strategy isn't... Open the folder. Something in her voice made him pause. Derek's hand moved to the folder. He flipped it open. Maria watched his face as he scanned the first page. The disclosure document. The shareholder registry. The numbers, his eyes widened. What is this? My holdings. Filed this morning. Public record as of 9 a.m. Maria checked her watch. 13 minutes ago. Derek's face drained of color. This says you own. This can't be right. Pardon, 52.3%. Controlling interest. Maria's voice remained steady. I've called an emergency board meeting for Wednesday. I wanted to inform you personally. Derek stood abruptly. His chair rolled backward. This is some kind of joke. A forgery. You can't possibly... Check with your legal team. It's all legitimate. 12 years of stock purchases. 3 shell companies. All filed properly. Maria picked up her spray bottle. I'll see you Wednesday, Mr. Castellano. She turned toward the door. Wait. Derek's voice cracked. Wait. Let's talk about this. There's no need for board meetings. If you have concerns, we can address them. Privately. Maria paused at the door, met his eyes. You had 12 years to address my concerns. You kicked my bucket instead. She walked out. Behind her, Derek's voice rose. This isn't over. Do you hear me? This isn't... The door closed. The assistant stared at Maria with wide eyes. Maria nodded politely and pushed her cleaning cart toward the elevator. Her hands were shaking now, but she'd done it. Crossed the threshold. No invisibility left. The elevator descended. Maria leaned against the wall and exhaled. 2 days until the board meeting. 2 days until everything changed. She thought of Derek's face. The confusion, the fear, the realization that he'd dismissed the wrong person. The elevator doors opened to the lobby. Maria stepped out into the familiar marble expanse. Executives hurried past. Nobody looked at her, but they would. Wednesday they all would. Wednesday 2 p.m. The boardroom on the 15th floor was all glass and dark wood. 12 leather chairs surrounded a table polished to mirror shine. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan sprawled like a kingdom. Derek stood at the head of the table, flanked by his legal team. 7 board members occupied their seats, men and women in expensive suits, confusion etched on their faces. Emergency meetings were rare. This one made no sense. Can someone explain what's happening? Board member Patricia Chen demanded. The disclosure filing indicates a majority shareholder we've never heard of. How is that possible? Derek's lawyer cleared his throat. We're still investigating the legitimacy of... The boardroom door opened. Maria walked in wearing an emerald green suit she'd bought yesterday. Her first suit in 12 years. Her hair was pulled back. No cleaning uniform. No mop bucket. No invisibility. The room fell silent. Who the hell is this? One board member asked. Thomas Chen, Maria's attorney, followed her in carrying a briefcase. This is Maria Reyes, majority shareholder of Apex Corporation. She called this meeting pursuant to her rights under corporate bylaws. Derek's face turned crimson. This is insane. She's a cleaning woman. She can't possibly... The filings are legitimate, Thomas interrupted. Verified by the SEC. Ms. Reyes owns 52.3% of this company through properly established investment vehicles. All documentation is in order. Patricia leaned forward. I don't understand. How does How does someone in your position acquire that level of ownership? Maria walked to the empty chair at the head of the table, Derek's chair. She didn't sit yet, just stood there, hands resting on the leather back, meeting each board member's eyes in turn. 12 years, she said quietly. Small purchases. Consistent discipline. Compound interest. Your predecessors never noticed. Mr. Castellano certainly never noticed. I was invisible. Derek slammed his hand on the table. This is absurd! You can't just walk in here and... I'm not just walking in. Maria's voice remained calm. I own this company, and I'm exercising my right to call for a vote of no confidence in current leadership. The room erupted. Board members spoke over each other. Derek's lawyer frantically flipped through documents. Thomas distributed packets to each board member. Financial analyses, proxy voting records, legal briefs. Patricia opened her packet. Her eyes widened. These stock purchases go back. My God, she's been buying for over a decade. Irrelevant, Derek shouted. She's unqualified. She has no business experience. No education in... I have 12 years of watching this company from the inside. Maria cut him off. I've seen the waste. The inflated executive bonuses, while maintenance budgets get slashed. I've cleaned up after your galas, while workers downstairs couldn't afford health insurance. I know this building better than you ever will. She finally sat down in Derek's chair. The leather was softer than anything she'd ever touched. Derek's face twisted. You can't do this. I built this company. You're just a cleaner? Maria's eyes locked on his. Yes, you've made that very clear. The room fell silent. Board members exchanged glances. Thomas distributed another document. Notice of vote, he announced. Wednesday, 3 p.m., 1 week from today. The board will vote on retaining or removing Derek Castellano as CEO. Derek grabbed the document from the board member nearest him. This can't be legal. I'll fight this. I'll tie this up in court for years. You can try, Thomas said, but Ms. Reyes owns the majority. Corporate law is clear. The vote will happen. Maria stood. I'll see you all next Wednesday. Mr. Castellano, I expect your financial disclosures, complete and unedited, on my desk by Monday. All executive compensation records, all board meeting minutes from the past 5 years. Derek's voice dropped to something dangerous. Do you know what you've started? I have lawyers, connections. I'll destroy you. Maria walked toward the door, paused, looked back. You already tried to destroy me, Mr. Castellano. You just didn't notice you failed. She left the boardroom. Thomas followed. The door closed on chaos, raised voices, Derek's shouts, the frantic shuffle of papers. In the elevator, Maria's hands finally shook. She pressed them flat against her skirt. Thomas stood beside her, silent. You did well, he finally said. Maria didn't respond. Couldn't. The adrenaline was crashing. She'd just declared war on one of the most powerful men in Manhattan. With nothing but 12 years of patience and a portfolio built from scraps, the elevator descended. Maria closed her eyes, thought of her father, of Elena studying medicine, of every morning she'd scrubbed Derek's floors. The doors opened to the lobby. Maria stepped out into the afternoon light, streaming through glass walls. Employees hurried past. Nobody looked at her yet, but next Wednesday they would. Everyone would. Maria walked toward the exit. Behind her, 14 floors above, Derek Castellano was learning what 12 years of invisibility could build, and what one moment of cruelty could cost. Thursday morning. Maria's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Unknown numbers. Blocked callers. She stopped answering after the 6th voicemail from a reporter asking for comment. Elena called at noon. Mom, what's happening? There are articles online. They're saying you own some company. People are messaging me asking questions. Maria sat on her apartment floor, laptop open, surrounded by news alerts. I was going to tell you, Mija. I needed to be sure first. Sure of what? Elena's voice rose. Mom, they're calling you a corporate raider. They're saying you manipulated stock prices. What's going on? None of that is true. Maria's throat tightened. I bought stock legally for 12 years. That's all. Silence on the line. Then, why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want you to worry. I wanted you to focus on school. I have to go. Eleanor's voice was cold. I have class. The call ended. Maria stared at her phone. Her daughter's disappointment felt heavier than Derek's rage. She'd protected Eleanor from everything. Poverty's grinding weight, the humiliation of her work, the endless exhaustion. And now Elena felt betrayed by the protection itself. Maria's apartment felt smaller than usual. The walls pressed in. Outside, Queens continued its rhythm, indifferent to her crisis. She opened her laptop. The headlines were brutal. Cleaning woman claims corporate takeover. Apex CEO fights back against hostile shareholder. Who is Maria Reyes? Derek had given interviews, called her unqualified, questioned her mental stability, suggested the stock purchases were fraudulent. His lawyers were filing motions. His PR team was everywhere. Thomas Chen texted, "Don't read the news. Don't respond to reporters. Let me handle this." But Maria couldn't stop reading. Each article felt like another kicked bucket. Another reminder that people like her weren't supposed to win. The comment sections were vicious. She should know her place. Greedy. Probably welfare fraud. Her father's mop bucket sat in the closet. Maria pulled it out, ran her fingers over the worn handle. He'd carried this for 30 years, died with it still in his hands. Nobody at his funeral knew he'd built a portfolio worth more than most of them would see in a lifetime. "Was it worth it, Papa?" she whispered. "All that invisibility? All that patience?" The bucket didn't answer. Maria set it down and walked to the window. Manhattan's skyline glittered in the distance. Apex Tower rose among the glass and steel, her building now technically. But it felt further away than ever. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You've made a mistake. Drop this now or face consequences. DC Derek." Threatening her through burner phones, Maria deleted the message. Then another arrived. "I know where you live." Her hands trembled. She took a screenshot and forwarded it to Thomas. He replied immediately, forwarding to police. "Document everything." Maria sat on her worn couch. The apartment was silent, except for the ticking clock above the stove. She thought of Elena's voice. The disappointment. The confusion. Her daughter had trusted her, and Maria had kept secrets for 12 years. Maybe Derek was right. Maybe she was just a cleaner. Maybe invisibility was all she deserved. But then her father's voice surfaced one more time. "The hardest part isn't starting. It's finishing when everyone wants you to quit." Maria picked up her phone, typed a message to Eleanor. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but I'm not sorry I fought back. I'll explain everything when this is over. I love you." She hit send, stood, walked to her closet and pulled out her emerald green suit. 1 week until the vote. 7 days to hold her ground. Maria hung the suit on her bedroom door. A reminder. She wasn't invisible anymore, and she wasn't backing down Friday evening. Maria met Thomas Chen in a coffee shop 3 blocks from her apartment. He arrived with a banker's box full of documents. "Derek's financial disclosures," Thomas said, sliding the box across the table. "His lawyers tried to delay. I threatened contempt charges. You need to review these before Monday." Maria opened the box. Spreadsheets, executive compensation records, board meeting minutes, years of corporate decisions documented in columns and footnotes. She pulled out the first file. "Look at page 43, Thomas said quietly. Maria flipped through. Her eyes widened. Executive bonuses for the past 5 years. Derek had paid himself $4.7 million last year alone. Board members received $300,000 stipends. Meanwhile, the maintenance budget had been cut by 18%. He's been bleeding the company dry, Thomas continued. Inflated compensation. Stock buybacks that benefited insiders. The workers, your co-workers, haven't had a raise in 6 years. Maria's jaw tightened. She remembered Rosa, the night cleaner with arthritis. Miguel, who worked 2 jobs to support his family. All of them scrubbing floors while Derek paid himself millions. There's more. Thomas pulled out another document. Worker injury reports. 13 incidents last year. Faulty equipment. Delayed maintenance. Derek ignored every safety recommendation to save costs. Maria thought of the frayed electrical cord on her floor buffer, the broken elevator that trapped a cleaner for 3 hours, the mop bucket with the cracked wheel she'd requested replacing for 8 months. "This isn't just about me anymore," she said quietly. Thomas leaned forward. "It never was. You have leverage now. Real leverage. The board needs to see this. They're business people. Show them Derek's mismanagement, and they'll vote him out regardless of personal feelings." Maria spent the weekend in her apartment organizing evidence. She created a presentation. Graphs showing declining worker satisfaction, charts comparing Apex's executive compensation to industry standards, photos of broken equipment, injury reports with Derek's signatures denying repairs. Elena called Sunday night. "Mom, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have hung up on you." Maria's throat tightened. "You have nothing to apologize for, Mija." "No, I do. I've been thinking about it. About how you never complained. Never asked for help. Just worked." Elena's voice cracked. "You were building something, and I didn't even notice." "That was the point," Maria said softly. "You weren't supposed to notice. You were supposed to study, to dream. Well, I'm noticing now. And Mom, I'm proud of you. Whatever happens Wednesday, I'm proud." Maria closed her eyes. "Thank you, baby." "That means everything." They talked for an hour. Maria explained the stock purchases, the shell companies, the 12-year plan. Elena listened without interrupting, and when Maria finished, her daughter said simply, "Grandpa would be proud too." Monday morning, Maria arrived at Apex Tower at 5 a.m. like always. Put on her uniform, grabbed her cleaning cart. Rosa was already in the break room, coffee brewing. "Maria," Rosa said carefully, "people are talking. About the meeting. About you, I know. Do you really own this place?" Maria poured coffee, met Rosa's eyes. 52.3%. Rosa sat down hard. "Dios mío. All this time." Maria set down her cup. "Rosa, when I win on Wednesday, and I will win, things are going to change. Raises, better equipment, healthcare. I'm going to fix what Derek broke." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, you're serious?" "I'm serious." Maria squeezed her friend's shoulder. "Nobody kicks our buckets anymore." She finished her shift, went home, changed into her emerald green suit. At 6 p.m. Thomas called. "Derek's team wants to negotiate. They're offering to settle. He'll resign quietly if you agree to certain terms." "What terms?" "Significant payout, golden parachute, and you agree to maintain current executive compensation structures." Maria didn't hesitate. "No, Maria, it's a clean exit. No more fight. No more publicity." "No," she repeated. "The board votes Wednesday. The workers deserve to see justice happen in public. Derek doesn't get to slink away rich." Thomas was quiet. Then, "Okay, I'll inform his counsel. But Maria, he's going to come at you hard tomorrow. Every dirty trick. Every personal attack. Are you ready?" Maria looked at her father's mop bucket in the closet. Thought of 12 years kneeling on marble. Elena's proud voice on the phone. "Rosa's tears. I've been ready for 12 years, she said. Wednesday morning arrived. The war was about to begin. Wednesday, 3 p.m., the boardroom was packed. 12 board members, legal teams on both sides. 2 journalists allowed in as pool reporters. The air hummed with tension. Derek sat at one end of the table in a charcoal suit, flanked by 3 attorneys. His face was stone. Maria sat at the opposite end, Thomas beside her. Between them, the board members looked like uncomfortable referees. Patricia Chen, acting as board chair, called the meeting to order. "We're here to vote on a motion of no confidence regarding Derek Castellano's continued role as CEO. Ms. Reyes, you called this meeting. You have the floor." Maria stood, opened her laptop. The presentation loaded on the screen behind her. "Thank you. I'll be brief." She clicked to the first slide. Executive compensation charts. Derek Castellano paid himself $4.7 million last year. Board members received $300,000 each. During this same period, frontline workers, the people who actually run this building, received 0 raises. Derek's attorney interrupted. "Ms. Reyes lacks the expertise to evaluate executive compensation. She has no business degree, no management experience. I have 12 years of watching this company from the inside." Maria cut him off. "I've seen what you haven't. The broken equipment, the ignored safety reports, the workers doing more with less while executives buy vacation homes." She clicked to the next slide. Injury reports. 13 worker injuries last year. Faulty equipment. Delayed maintenance. Every safety recommendation ignored to cut costs. She turned to Derek. "You signed off on every denial." Derek leaned forward. "Those are operational decisions. Complex trade-offs you couldn't possibly understand. Running a company isn't about caring for the people who keep it running." Maria's voice remained steady. "Then what is it about?" Silence. Maria clicked through more slides. Maintenance budget cuts, profit margins, stock buybacks that primarily benefited insiders. Each number told the same story. A CEO enriching himself while the foundation crumbled. Board member James Rodriguez raised his hand. "These figures are concerning. Derek, can you address these allegations?" Derek stood abruptly. "This is a witch hunt. Ms. Reyes has a personal vendetta because we had a minor workplace disagreement. She's using her stock position to settle a grudge." "A minor disagreement?" Maria's voice sharpened. "You kicked my cleaning bucket, soaked my uniform, called me just a cleaner in front of everyone. Then joked at the gala that even cleaning staff could afford stocks now." The room went still. One board member coughed. Another looked away. "That's not what happened," Derek said quickly. "I was frustrated. Time pressure. I may have been short, but you humiliated me." Maria's hands gripped the table edge. "Because you could. Because I was invisible. Because people like me don't matter to people like you." Patricia's voice was quiet. "Did you say those things, Derek?" Derek's jaw tightened. "I don't recall the exact wording, but this isn't about hurt feelings. It's about qualifications. She's a cleaning woman, for God's sake. She can't run a corporation." "Why not?" Maria asked. "Because I scrub your floors. I've spent 12 years watching you waste money and ignore people. I built a controlling stake from minimum wage paychecks while you spent shareholder money on yourself. Which one of us understands discipline?" She pulled out another document. "I also reviewed every board meeting minute from the past 5 years. Want to know how many times worker safety was discussed?" She paused. 0. "How many times executive compensation was increased?" 11. Board members shifted uncomfortably. James opened his own copy of the financials. His frown deepened. Derek's attorney tried again. "The board has fiduciary duties. Appointing an unqualified—" "I'm not asking to be CEO," Maria interrupted. "I'm asking you to remove one who's failing. Then we'll find qualified leadership together. Someone who remembers that workers aren't furniture." She clicked to her final slide. A photo of the cleaning staff. Rosa, Miguel, others, all in their worn uniforms. "These people keep your building running. They arrive before you wake up. They leave after you go home. And they deserve better than a CEO who sees them as punchlines." The room was silent. Maria closed her laptop, sat down. "Vote however your conscience directs. But remember, I own 52.3%. I can replace this entire board if needed. I'd rather not. I'd rather work together. But I will protect these workers, with or without your support." Patricia looked shaken. "We'll take a short recess. Board members only, please." Everyone filed out. Maria stood in the hallway with Thomas. Her legs felt weak. She'd said everything, shown everything. Now the waiting. Derek emerged from a side door, walked past without looking at her. But she heard him mutter, "You'll regret this." 20 minutes later, Patricia called them back. The board members' faces were unreadable. Maria's heart hammered. Patricia stood. "The board has voted. By a count of 8 to 4, we have decided to accept Derek Castellano's resignation, effective immediately." The room erupted. Derek shot to his feet. "This is illegal. I'll sue every single one of you." "You're welcome to try," Patricia said calmly. "But the vote is final. You'll receive severance per your contract, but no golden parachute. The board agrees with Ms. Reyes. Reform is needed." Derek's face turned purple. He grabbed his briefcase, pointed at Maria. "You think you've won? You've just made yourself a target. This isn't over." He stormed out. His attorney scrambled after him. The door slammed. Maria remained frozen. Thomas touched her shoulder. "You did it." Patricia approached, extended her hand. "Ms. Reyes, the board would like to discuss transition planning. We'll need an interim CEO while we search for permanent leadership. Would you be willing to consult?" Maria shook her hand. Her voice came out steady despite the adrenaline. "I'd be honored, but I have some conditions." Patricia smiled slightly. "I'm sure you do. Let's talk." 2 months later, Apex Tower looked different. Same marble lobby, same glass elevators, but the details had changed. New equipment arrived for the maintenance staff. Ergonomic mop handles, updated floor buffers. The broken elevator was finally repaired. Rosa cried when she received her first paycheck with the raise. 30% increase, retroactive 6 months. Maria kept her apartment in Queens, kept her cleaning uniform in the closet. But now she arrived at Apex wearing her emerald green suit, taking the executive elevator to the 14th floor. Derek's old office had been converted into a worker resource center, computer stations, benefits counseling, healthcare enrollment assistance. Maria's actual office was smaller. Modest desk, single window. She didn't need Derek's view. The work was different now. Board meetings, strategic planning, budget reviews. She'd hired an interim CEO with 20 years of experience, but she attended every meeting, asked questions, learned Elena visited one afternoon, walked through the lobby where Maria used to kneel with her bucket. "It's strange seeing you here like this," Elena said, "but also right. It feels right." They had lunch in Maria's office. Elena talked about medical school applications, her dream of becoming a pediatrician. Maria listened, pride swelling in her chest. "You know what I realized," Elena said. "You were teaching me the whole time. About patience, about strategy, about not letting people define you." She squeezed her mother's hand. "I get it now." After Elena left, Maria stood at her window, looked down at the lobby, saw the new cleaning staff going about their work. Better paid, better equipped, better respected. Her phone buzzed. Thomas Chen. Derek filed another motion. Judge dismissed it. "He's out of options." Maria didn't feel triumph, just tired satisfaction. Derek had disappeared into consulting work. His reputation damaged but not destroyed. His wealth intact. That was fine. This wasn't about destroying him. It was about building something better. Rosa knocked on Maria's door. "Ms. Reyes, the afternoon supervisor wants to thank you personally for the new equipment." "Tell him I'll come down," Maria said. "And Rosa." "Call me Maria, please." Rosa smiled. "Only if you call me by my full name. Rosa Elena Martinez, not just the night cleaner." Deal. That evening, Maria returned to her apartment, changed out of her suit, made rice and beans. Normal life, but transformed. She pulled her father's mop bucket from the closet, ran her fingers over the handle one more time. "We did it, Papa," she whispered. The long game worked. She thought about framing a photo, her in her cleaning uniform beside her in her suit, day before and after, but that felt wrong. It wasn't two different people. It was the same woman finally seen. Maria set the bucket down. Tomorrow she'd return to Apex, more meetings, more decisions, more work. But different work, the kind that mattered. The kind that changed lives beyond her own. She looked at Eleanor's college acceptance letter on her refrigerator. Below it she'd added a new photo, the cleaning staff on their first day with new equipment. All of them smiling, not invisible anymore. Any of them. Maria turned off the light and went to bed. The city hummed outside her window. Apex Tower glittered in the distance. Her building now, her responsibility. Her chance to prove that power could be patient, silent, and transformative, just like her father taught her. 6 months after the board vote, Maria stood in the Apex lobby at 5:45 a.m. She wore her emerald green suit but carried a mop bucket, not hers. A symbolic one for the dedication ceremony. The staff gathered, day shift, night shift, maintenance, security. 50 people who kept the building alive. Maria had commissioned a bronze plaque for the wall near the elevators. She unveiled it. The inscription read, "In honor of all who work unseen. Your labor matters. Your dignity is absolute. May those who lead never forget those who serve." Applause echoed off marble walls. Rosa wiped her eyes. Miguel shook Maria's hand. Others took photos. The local news covered it. A minor story, but meaningful. Later, alone in her office, Maria thought about Derek's question from the boardroom. "Do you know what you've started?" Yes, she knew exactly. She'd started a reminder. That invisibility wasn't weakness. That patience could outmaneuver privilege. That the people society dismissed might be the ones holding everything together. Her father's voice surfaced one final time. "The system isn't fair, but it has rules. Learn them, use them, win quietly," Maria smiled. She'd won, not loudly, not violently, just persistently, one stock purchase at a time, one silent year after another, until the moment came to stop being invisible and start being essential. Elena called during lunch. "I got into Columbia Medical School, Mom. Full scholarship." Maria's vision blurred with tears. "I'm so proud, Mija. I'm going to be a doctor who remembers the cleaning staff," Elena said, "who sees everyone. Like you taught me." After the call ended, Maria stood at her window. Manhattan stretched before her. Thousands of buildings filled with thousands of people. How many were invisible by design? How many scrubbed floors and carried burdens while others stepped over them? She couldn't save them all. But she'd proven something. That the invisible could become undeniable. That dismissed people could dismiss their dismissers. That just a cleaner was only an insult if you believed it. Maria picked up her father's mop bucket from where she'd placed it in her office. She'd keep it there. A reminder of where she came from, what she'd overcome, who she'd always be underneath the suit and title. The lobby below filled with morning executives. They greeted the cleaning staff by name now, said thank you, noticed small changes, lasting ones. Maria set down the bucket and returned to her desk. She had work to do, budgets to review, policies to reform, people to protect, not invisible anymore. Never again. The city woke outside her window. Apex Tower stood among the glass and steel, transformed not by destruction, but by patience, by discipline, by one woman who learned the rules and refused to break them. Using the system's own structure to demand justice, they'd called her just a cleaner. She'd become undeniable. And in doing so, she'd reminded the world of a simple truth. The people you don't see are often the ones holding everything up. Dismiss them at your peril. Underestimate them at your cost. Maria smiled and opened her laptop. Another day, another chance to build something better. Her father would have been proud.